Hey guys, so this is the problem I'm going to be solving today, and it says Kim has the utility function u equals 100x minus x squared over 2 plus y, where x is her consumption of makeup and y is her consumption of tiny salads that cost $1 each. So the question is if the price of makeup is initially $85, what is her consumer surplus? I have to find the marginal utility of x and y, and to do that I'm going to take the derivative of both. So looking at our utility function, our marginal utility of x will be 100, so there's just one x, and then minus x, and the reason it's minus x is because if you take the derivative of x squared over 2, you could really say it's 1 over 2 x squared, so you'd bring in the 2, which would make it 2 over 2 x, and obviously 2 over 2 is 1, so it would just be x. And then the marginal utility of y would just be 1. Let's erase this. Okay, so now that we've found that, our marginal rate of substitution is going to be negative 100 minus x over 1. And we're going to distribute the negative sign. So it's really just going to be x minus 100. Okay, now since we have this is part of our demand function. So our demand function is negative p x equals x minus 100. So now that we have our demand function, I'm going to go ahead and find some intercepts so we can plot our graph. So put in our axis, quantity and price. And now we're going to ask, okay, if x equals 0, what would our price be? And if price equals 0, what would our x be? And I'm just choosing to use 0. So now we're going to put negative p equals 0 minus 100, because remember we're using our demand function. And that would mean that negative p equals negative 100. Negatives cancel each other out. P would equal 100. And now if p were 0, we're going to say negative 0 equals x minus 100. So we would add 100 to this side, which would mean that x equals 100. Okay, so now since we have that, I'm going to go ahead and erase this to give us some room. We are going to see what her consumer surplus would be if the initial price of makeup was $85. So in order to do that, we're going to set the price ratio equal to her marginal rate of substitution. And here our price ratio would just be negative 85. So we're going to put negative 85 equals x minus 100. Now we're going to add 85 to this side, subtract x. Negative x equals negative 15. Cancel out the negatives. So x equals 15. Now we know that when price is equal to 85, her demand is 15, her quantity. So we're going to plot that on the graph. So we're going to put 85 and 15. Okay, so now we know that this area right here is going to be our consumer surplus. And now we're going to find out exactly what that area is. So I'm going to go ahead Erase this, give us some room. Now, because this is a triangle, we just have to find the area, which is 1/2 times base times height. So we're going to go ahead and do 1/2 times base, which is 15, times the height, which is also 15. That is going to equal 112.5. So now we know that this is her consumer surplus, and it is equal to 112.5. And that is our answer.